Hello, welcome to another sprint demo of the Evernym team that contributes to the Sovrin project and to Indy. We work on both. Lately, we've been working, and contributes to Hyperledger. Lately, we work on both Indy and Aries, and we've completed another round of round of effort, another round of work, and we're going to discuss some of those things today. Can you bring up the backlogs, Alex? Alex is sharing a screen because I can't get into Jira today. So we got a lot of work on PBFTV change. Our goal is to get this done by September so they can go onto the Sovrin networks in October. That's an aggressive goal. We'll see how close we get. But we made a lot of progress this time. We also cleaned up some bugs and some minor refinements. We'll talk about those more. If we look on the SDK side, we did a bunch of bug fixing, and we also did some improvements to the Indy CLI to have tab completion, so you don't have to retype payment addresses over and over or copy and paste. So that's the feature I'm most excited about being complete. And then a bunch of other polish done there. On the token side, the main concern on the token side is that when an unspent transaction on the ledger, they'd accumulate over time, and when you get too many, you couldn't see them all. That too many is probably 1,000-ish. It will be a while before we hit that problem. But we've been adding pagination so you can go through and access all your unspent transactions. So that work is almost complete as well. So those are the main efforts we made. The goal is at the end of the next sprint for us to be able to release this bug fix update to Indy-Node and Indy-SDK with the minor improvements to the tab completion. That release will also contain on the SDK side improvements to libvcx that came from another Evernym team that removes the dependency on the Evernym agency, and also to release updated plugins for libsoft token, the libsoft token plugin to libindy, and the updated ledger plugins. So that's the goal over the next sprint. So with that, let's go to the demos. And Nikita's going to discuss the paging for unspent transactions first. You're on mute, Nikita.
Yeah. So yeah.
Excellent. Thanks.
So we experienced a problem when getItXO when you make a getItXO request to the server, and you have more than 1,500 UTXOs, you won't get a response. So you won't be able to get the list of UTXOs at all. So our fixes consisted from our fixes contained two steps. So the first one was just a hotfix. It was just a hotfix. We need so the problem, we can see it here, and so the response just was over the limit for the Indy-Node, and because of that reason, it wasn't returned to the user at all. So the hotfix was just returned on the first 1,000 of UTXOs, and attached that proof to this list only if it fits to the limit. It was our hotfix, and it was implemented quite fast. Then we started to make a proper fix. So we introduced a new field to get UTXO request. It's from. So it points to the sequence number of UTXO to start the list of UTXOs to return in the response. And the response from getUTXO also contains field next. So it points to the to the sequence number of the UTXO that goes up to the 1,000. Oh, I made a mistake here, I see. And then the bigger fixes were implemented in libindy. We need still to check state proofs. And we need to check that the UTXOs that were returned to us really goes in the arithmetical, in the ascending order, in this state, in the Patricia Merkle tree, and from points to the right place, and the next points to the right place. So what we did, so we got the Patricia Merkle tree that is like that. So at first we just fetch all the leaf values from it that fits our prefix, which is payment address right here. Then here we just sort them in the ascending order of sequence numbers. Then we just taken out the from, and then we checking that we taken that all of the values are all the values fits the values that we are returned to us, and checking the next value. That's it. And then we need to change the API a little. At this time, we decided to go through the deprecation cycle. So we won't break the applications of our end users that will want to use the newer version of SDK for some bug fixes or minor changes. We will just introduce 2 new API calls that will have a prefix Indy v2. So it will be Indy v2 build get payment sources and Indy v2 parse get payment sources. What's the difference from the old calls? That just Indy build get payment sources request and Indy parse get payment sources. So for the builds, you will have a new field from that you can pass to the pass here. It is optional. And for the parse, you will have the return value will differ. Before it was just an array of UTXOs, and now it will be an object with a next field and payment sources field. Again, we will go through the deprecation cycle. These new methods will be available with a prefix, and old methods will be available with their old names. When we will go to the next major versions, I think we will remove the deprecated methods, so the old ones, and we will place the new methods instead of old ones. So that's it for my demo.
Thank you. Sorry, couldn't find my unmute button. It's interesting to me how much more complicated the distributed ledger can be, because I hadn't considered how you have to keep all the state proofs updated as you go through that process. So that's excellent. Thanks for that. Sergey Minaev is going to explain how we have improved the way the transition author agreement acceptance works to avoid correlation.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. So I'm going to share my screen. It's actually, we'll just have a very quick update. As you may know, there is a transactional acceptance mechanism in our system. It's optional, so some instances of Indy ledgers may require it and others not. But in case if transactional agreement is enabled on the network, each write request to the ledger should have some acceptance data. And one of the parameters in this acceptance data is a timestamp. Then the agreement was accepted by the user. We expect that, for example, mobile application may show the text of agreement at the very beginning, then store this time of acceptance, and reuse this timestamp between any runs, and append this timestamp in any write transaction. So we can see some correlation factor here, because this time has precision in seconds, and it will be used between different runs and between different transactions, between different types of transactions. So by this time, you may correlate, for example, multiple DIDs of the user and payment addresses of the user if we are talking about some ecosystem with payments. The main problem here is the precision. So let's just reduce the precision. To make application developer lives easier, we didn't change an API of libindy, so we still accept any timestamp on libindy provided by application. Then libindy just drops too many details from this timestamp, and we will have just 0 seconds after the midnight of the current day. And then this timestamp will be included to the final transaction, will be signed by the ID key and send it to the ledger. And we also have a check on the ledger side that there is no too much resolution in the received transaction from the client. Otherwise, ledger will just reject the transaction with too high correlation risks. And as a result, we have this correlation risk almost eliminated. So that's it from my side.
Thank you. That's we're really glad our colleagues at the Sovrin Foundation pointed out that problem to the correlation risk, so we were able to address it. So thanks for your work there. Vladimir is going to demo the CLI improvements.
Hello. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, looks good.
Okay, now you can see that I've just opened Indy-CLI, and the first feature that was implemented is a history that now persists from session to session. So if I have just opened a CLI and maybe I want to repeat some comment from the previous session, I can just use Control R button, and now I can find, for example, load plugins command from the previous session and execute in a new session. So I just loaded libsoft token library, and now I can show the next feature. It's completion of the commands in CLI. So now I want to connect to pool. So now I can type pool connect, and I can find pool name in the pool list without using pool list command. So double tap, or I can use double tap button, or I can just type the first symbols of the pool name, and I can after completed. So I just connected to the pool, and now I can make the same thing with the wallet. Also, payment command was improved in the last sprint. So I to send some to perform some payment, I just can type now it can use addresses, not UTXOs. And I can also use completion here. So I can just type the first symbols.
That is going to be so much easier to use.
Yes, it's very easy now. So I can just so you don't need to perform some actions with get payment sources or something like that. So you just can type the source and the target and just hit enter. Also, I just forget about the amount. So it's really easy to use this type of transactions, and I believe that's all from me. Thank you.
And does the command history work that if you just hit the up key, it goes back through the history? Because you copied and pasted the previous command instead of just hitting up.
Yes. I could just use arrow.
Yeah, it just have it. Makes sense. Excellent. Thank you, Vladimir. That's very good. I'm excited for those changes. That'll make our lives much easier as we are using that. Then Renata's going to explain how she tackled the bug fix that she did.
So, now we'll talk about an issue with notifying clients about invalid requests. Earlier we found it a problem that a node skips messages for a client if send was unsuccessful. This is reproduced in the following case. The client sends a request to pull, but the node 2 has not received it yet. Or perhaps the client doesn't yet know about the new node joining. And the node 2 receives a propagate message with this request and prepare message. Validates request, and the node is ready to send a reject, but it can't do it because have not connection with the client. We fixed this problem. Now messages are stored in a special queue and waiting to send again after a while. The invalid request finally reaches the node 2, or the client is sending a new request. And the node is resending pending messages before sending a new answer. Changes which we made in the scope of this task. Firstly, added in zero queue stack a flag to initiate an exception if send was unsuccessful. Secondly, added a special queue to store not sent messages. Added a resending for pending messages and remove failed messages. And limited count of clients and messages for this queue. To test the effectiveness of changes, the following tests were written. Well, that's it from me. Thanks, patience.
Oh, it's excellent. That was an interesting bug we hit, so I'm glad you're able to address that and improve that reliability. Very good. So, Alex, you mind sharing the backlog again? We're actually running ahead of schedule. We were worried that we had so much content in this demo we'd run over time, but we were able to move through everything very quickly. So thank you for your preparation. The next sprint, our main goal is the release that I mentioned earlier, the bug fix release for the month. But we're also going to make significant progress on PBFTV change. The other important feature we're getting started is Indy 1999. We've had this challenge for quite a while that the transaction endorsers and the transaction authors they're not recorded separately on the ledger. And so we're going to design this sprint. We're going to design how to fix that so that people who are going to production finally can do the going to production with the Sovrin network can manage that appropriately. And there's a couple bugs we want to tackle as well. So that's great. Thank you. And on the SDK backlog, the main goal on the SDK backlog is, besides the release, is to we currently support the old Ubuntu 16.04, and we want to make sure the SDK works on the newer Ubuntu. We're going to do that in Jenkins. That's our current CI/CD system. We do recognize that the Indy community is moving towards using the GitLab CI instance hosted by the Sovrin Foundation, but we're going to get this done on Jenkins and move it to GitLab when that CI/CD server is available. So that's the current plan, and then there's some, we want to improve the logging on Android. We've had some requests to improve that. There's some additional work in the backlog we'd like to do, but we don't think we'll have time because on the token side, we need to focus on how to administratively manage the token. There's a number of helper scripts we want to get done this sprint so that we can manage distribution, manage preparing wallets, managing moving the tokens between the wallets, everything that's associated with minting. We have no idea when the foundation is going to get legal approval from regulators to roll out this token, and whether the governance of the Sovrin network are going to want to approve this token, but that's the next step for us to be ready. So we're making progress on that. So that's the plan for the next couple weeks. We do plan to record another one of these videos in 2 weeks and get that posted to YouTube. That'll show how we did and what the next round moving into August is going to look like. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please go to chat.hyperledger.org, where we hang out in the Pound Indy and Indy-Node and Indy-SDK channels. We also participate in a lot of the Aries stuff. You can also go to chat.sovrin.org to discuss the Sovrin specific stuff. There's a Pound token channel there where you can talk to us about any of that work. So thank you very much. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you. And thanks, team, for all your work.